Moikka moi! It's Riikka Kovasin here with another video for A.B.Studio. This time I'm making two cards and again I'm mixing different collections. I chose these papers because of the color scheme. I'm kind of going with this pinkish or peach color this time. I'm first cutting one of the 12 by 12 sheets into two smaller pieces. I'm going to make these kind of long and narrow cards. Normally I make them vertical, but this time I made horizontal just to kind of challenge myself a little bit. So first I cut the card sized bits and then I stamp the flowers that are going to be on top. I'm first choosing which paper to use for the flowers and which one to the leaves, which I'm then die cutting with several dies. And I end up using this peach tone version for the flowers and a little bit colder pink tone for the leaves and stems. I then cut the flowers loose and also secured the two layers together. So I backed the pieces I cut beforehand with a kind of framing piece of that purple tone I showed in the beginning of the video. I used a sewing machine to attach the layers together to get them a little bit of extra and a little bit of grungy style too. I then start adding layers to the backgrounds. I'm first going with the stamp ink I used also to stamp the flowers and use several stencils with that. It's black ink, but when I'm applying it with a sponge, it kind of turns into this dark gray tone. But I'm okay with it. And I'm using the same ink then with stamps, which are then more black. So there's kind of a varying spectrum of black in the background. This kind of echoes also the stitch line, but also the textures depicted in the 12 by 12. After the stenciling, I then add the stamping and then I build a little layer on top. I'm first adding a piece of that same purple 12 by 12 sheet that I have as kind of a framing piece to the whole thing, and then I add some patterned tissue paper on top using gesso and a pink acrylic paint. Again, I'm drawing inspiration from the background and bringing those flat layers depicted in the paper to dimensional versions. After letting the backgrounds dry a little bit, I then start to make the compositions, and first I need to add some colors to the flowers. Although they have lovely peach tone from the 12 by 12, I want them to be a little bit more grungy as well, as kind of going with the background, the same style. So I use distress watercolor crayons and just scribble some color on top and then use a wet brush to move it around. I'm also adding the same pink acrylic color to the flowers that I used in the background, kind of tying everything together. I then use the same pink color to add some splashes to the background as well, and also add some black splashes there. This is kind of just to echo the existing color scheme there is and bring that harsh black a little bit more. As acrylic paint dries fairly quickly, I then move on to building the composition. As the bottom layer, I'm using some sewing thread and using two colors underneath the cluster. I'm again going with the same color scheme I already have going on, so I choose this hot pink and black sewing thread to be added, kind of the base layer and bringing some softness to the whole thing. I then mount the flowers with 3D tape on top to give it a little bit of dimension, and then I fill in the cluster with the die cut elements, so the leaves and little branches. As you can see, I didn't secure the sewing thread in any way to the base, except that it's then neatly tucked underneath the flowers. So the 3-dimensional foam tape only keeps it in place. I use craft glue for the leaves and stems. When the compositions are done, I then use a little bit of craft glue to secure the dream die-cut word there and add the finishing details. I mount each card to a previously made white cardstock base with double-sided tape, and then add these black epoxy stickers here and there, kind of bringing that little extra contrast to the cards. And after that, they are done. I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a pretty straightforward process, but maybe you find inspiration from my idea of working the background layers as dimensional elements. So there's the depicted grungy layers visible, but you can then enhance that with layers of your own. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and like always, if you did, please consider subscribing and hit that bell sign to be notified when a new video comes live. Thank you again, and I'll be seeing you within a month with another A.B.Studio video, but in my own channel you'll find a process video each Friday. Thanks again, bye!